Hello guys, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. In this video, we are going to talk about how to read JWT, and that is what stands for JSON Web Token. So how to read JSON Web Token authorization claims of a user. So if I register, now I have my password hash and the sort being put together, checked well. It has been generated a token for me. Now the token, I have a claim that is a row attached to the token as maybe administrator or a normal user. Now when that happens, how can you read the claims? Let's say the identity, the row, so you may know how to assign the person or where the person you should move the person to. That is what you're going to have a look today. So this is going to be a short video. That's going to be a part 3. We've done part 1, part 2, and this is the last part of part 3. I'm going to leave the other part links into the other description site. So if you haven't watched that, then I strongly, highly recommend you to watch them. Well, if you say you know those, then you're good to go as well. Okay, so this is what we did for just a quick recap. Now in the previous video, for the first video, we were able to create our models, 2 models over here, and that is a user and a user data transfer object. That's what we're going to use to transfer data from the user model into our controller. Okay, so we have a controller known as the auth controller, and that is where we create tokens. We create a password hash and the sort, then we validate the token, that is we validate the user, or we check the user and now create a token for. So you can see register, that's where user register for the new account, passing the username and password. Then we able to create password hash based on the password that the user passes in. Aside from that, we create a password sort. Then we check the user. If the user logs in, we check if everything is correct. Then we create token over here. So when you create a token, we can actually return the token to the user, and that's what going to be used to access the other content. Now with the token, we have rows and claims that is been added. Now the claims contain the rows and the identity. Identity here is a name, maybe username, and the rows here is going to be maybe an administrator or normal user, and etc. Yeah. So in here, how do you read the rows and the username? That's a claim. How do you read them and how do you assign them? That is what we're going to have a look today. So there are 2 ways of doing this. You can do that in a controller, but that is not much advisable, and you can do that also in a services folder. So let's have a look at the controller first. So by using the controller is very simple. Now let's see what we have here. So let me just make this small. Okay, let me just cramp this so we won't get a lot. Alright, so we have it over here small. Okay, now we want to actually use in the controller. So first you can see we have a username here identified. Now this is what we're going to do. We want to create an action method, so let's create it down here. Okay, so let's create an action method, and now this action method, the name here is going to be what? Get. So this is get. Now with this get, we want to perform authorization. So it means before you access this, you must have been registered. Yeah, so you must have an account with us before you can have access to this. Now what is so public action results. So with this action results, and now we want to return a string because you want to return username and maybe the row. So they are all strings, so we want to return a string over here. And now the name is, let's say, get claims. Okay, so get claims, that's going to be the name. Now let's open a parenthesis. So this is what we're going to do. Let's store it as maybe username. So username, so username is equal to, so we can use now user here. So user dot, so we can use identity dot name. And now with this, we can just set this nullable, and also So let's say let's try to make this nullable as well. That's for the user. Now which or what username are you getting over here? Now when you go to our auth control, like you see we have the create token. Let's expand this. So you can see we have claim. So you can see we have name here and that username. So that's what we are accessing it over here. We can also access the admin as well. That's a row. For now, let's maintain only this. Now, since it's an HTTP, we're going to return OK. So let's return OK with it and pass in the username. You see, this is very simple. That's the simplest one. Yeah, so you can decide to use when you're having a light application for someone. I guess you want to have a productive application, a big complex one. Then maybe you may group this, you may use as a service to render this, but not put it in the controller. If not, it's going to make the controller look fat and it is not healthy. Okay, so now let's run this application. Before we can access this, we must have what registered. So let's save this. Let's run this application. Alright, so it is now loaded, and you can see we have it over here. That's an API auth. So if I click on this, now I haven't registered. If I click on that and I click on try it out, execute, let's see what happened here. Now we see response status is 401. It means unauthorized. I'm not authorized, so I need to register first. Now you can see that's unauthorized over here. Now let's go in there and create account. So register. Now let's use maybe Netcode-Hub. So Netcode-Hub channel. So that's going to be the name, not Han, it's supposed to be Hub. Okay. Now there's the password here. Let's maintain the password as it is. Now I'm going to copy this, then execute. So we've now registered. Now we have our hash and the sort. Let's log in. So the next one, try it out. Now instead of this, I'm going to paste this. Then let's execute. So you must have, now we have our token. So with this token, let's go in there and now authorize it over here. So pass in the bearer, space, and paste the token, authorize it, close it. Now let's access the API auth here. So let's click on execute. And now what is going to be, what is the name here? That is a Netcode-Hub channel. So we see we have been able to access it. That is why we can decide to access more of this, not only the name, but I can also access the row as well. Let's see, how do you access, how do you get a lot data from this claim as well. So in there, this is what you're going to do. Now in here, you're going to make a copy of this. Now let's paste this here. Now the first one that you want to do is user. You want to use user.find. Let's clear this. So user.find first. So first value. Then with the first value, you're going to use claims type. So claims types dot name. And now the name here is going to be user2. And now the next one that you want to use here, let's go in for the row. So let's access the row. Now instead of this, you want to use the same thing over here. Let's copy this and let's make this nullable as well. So let's set up the question mark. The same thing applies to this. So instead of the name here, now we find what row. Okay. And yeah, we are good. So let's maintain this 3. Now if you want to return this, we have to create new, then you can pass in as an array. So username, that is 1, username, that is 2, then row as well. So let's now run this and see what we have now. So let's register, try it out. Let's use, so that's a Netcode-Hub channel. So let's copy this, execute. So register, let's see, they are registered. Let's log in. So try this out and now paste this, execute. Let's copy our token. So with our token, let's go in there and authorize it, bearer space, paste it, and then go to authorize, close this. Now access this method, try it out, execute. Now let's see what we have now as a response. So you can see we have username as well, Netcode-Hub channel, username 2, the same thing as well, and you have a row as well, admin. So username 2 is also getting the same thing as well. So that's the claims type dot name or identity dot name. So we're going to get the same thing as well. So that's the way of using, grabbing or getting these claims using the controller. Now, what if in case you want to use the services? Yeah, that's also there. So we need to actually do that. So let's go in there. Let's first take this off, and this is what we're going to do. So here, let's comment this. So we comment this. Let's go to our controller. Now let's create a folder, then we name it as services. So add new folder. Now the name of this folder here is going to be services. Now in this services, right click this, and now let's add another folder. And now this folder, we're going to name it as user service. So user service. Now with this user service, we need an interface and implementation class. So let's add new item, and now that's going to be for an interface. So we're going to choose an interface from the template. Then going to be I service. So that's the I user service. So you wait for the template. So click on interface, and now here is going to be I user service. So I user service. Let's copy the, then let's add. Now we need to also add a class, that's the implementation class. So add new class, and now the name here is going to be user service without the I. So user service. Now this must inherit from this user service, I user service. So with this, we want to get string. Let's say get claims as well. So this get claims. Okay, so that's what we actually want to do. So get claims, because we're going to return a string. So get claims. Now when we go to the user service, control plus period, let's now implement the interface. So implement interface over here. Now this is what we actually want to do. So first of all, we want to register this service. So let's use, or let's inject the HTTP context accessor, and that's what you're going to be using to access it. So HTTP context accessor, that is over here. Then we use this object. So let's use, so first it's supposed to be here. Let's take this off. Now supposed to be a that's a constructor here. So control plus period. Then let's create a constructor. Now let's paste this in between the constructor. Now the same thing, control plus period again. Let's create an assigned field. So click on this, create an assigned field. Now we have this. So we now want to actually use this. So this is what we're going to do. Now you want to create, let's create a variable, and maybe you can name it as result. So var result, let's set this to string dot empty. So initially it is for empty. Now let's check. So if HTTP context accessor dot HTTP context is not equal to null. If it's not equal to null, it means that there is a user available, that there are claims. Then let's set results. Results equal to, let's use the HTTP. So HTTP, so instead HTTP accessor dot HTTP context. So dot, you can now find user over here, dot find first value. Okay, so now passing claims. So claims types dot name. Alright, so you can now get this claim types dot name. Then you can now return, what? Result. So if results, if it is not null, we return it, but if it is null, then we return null as well. Okay, so now we have a method here, a service method that is getting us the claim type as what? Name. Okay, so now we can actually use this. Now let's register our service in a program.cs file. So now in here, where we have our service program.cs file, we now have to add our service here. So let's use builder dot services dot add scope. Now here we have I user service, then user service. Okay, so now we've actually registered our service. Now we can now go ahead and implement it or inject it into our controller. So in here, first of all, we want to inject it here. So we inside our constructor that we have created, let's also pass in I user service, and now let's create an object out of it as user service. Now in our program.cs file, you can see we have now used this service. So we can actually make it as global. We can make this as global. Let's see if, well, maybe we don't want to just get us confused. Let's move on with what you want to do, achieve today. Okay, now in our controller, whilst we have this control plus period, that's a dot, and now let's create an assigned field. So create an assigned field over here. So we can actually use this user service to call get claims method. So in here, let's use, so var result is equal to, now you can use user service dot, we can use get claims. Okay, so get claims, and that's all. Now with this, we want to return, so return, okay, then result. That's all. So we have this. So now let's run this again and see what we have now. So let's save this, because see we've commented this, so there's no more working. Now let's run this. Alright, so when you run, you're going to have this. Some services are not able to be constructed. Error while validating the service descriptor. Service type is what? Create JSON web token. Services, the user services.I interface. And now here, scope implementation type. Let's try to fish that one out here. So that's an HTTP context accessor while attempting to activate it. Okay, so now we have to actually register the HTTP context accessor too as well. So here, let's register that on top of this service. So it's going to be builder.services.add HTTP context accessor. So this is what we need to do. Now everything is going to be well. Let's run this again, and now let's wait and see if it's going to pop up the same thing, or we're going to move on to the next stage. So we wait. Now you can see everything is in order. So now we check and we wait for it to load. Then we have to register to create the public, that is the password hash and the password sort. So try this out. Let's give it a name as Netcode-Hub channel. Net-Hub channel. Wow. And let's copy this. So that is the registration. That's the username and password. Now we create the password hash and the password sort. So once you are done, let's go in there and log in. So try this out. Now I'm going to paste this here and now execute. let's wait for our token. So let's copy our token. Now let's go in there. For now, if we click on this API, we're not going to get the claim. You can see we are not allowed 401. That's unauthorized as identified here. So we need to authorize it first. So let's pass in bearer space, then paste this authorize, close it. Now let's see, click on it again. As soon as we finish that, you can see we have here as black. Click on this and now execute it. And now you can see we have the Netcode, the Net-Hub channel. Alright, so that is it. That is a way to read claims, either an identity or a row. Now if you want to check, so you can just get this row and use an if statement to check if it's equal to admin or if it's equal to a normal user. You know where to move the person to. That's very simple. You can add a lot of claims as you want, or as your production, or as those that you're developing the application for they want. It could be a bursar or accountant page. You can have, well, maybe customer care. Okay, so each row that you're going to assign, you must indicate it, and you have to use an if statement to check. Then if it is equal to the admin or the accountant or the customer service that you want to use, then you switch it to that place for them. That is very simple as well. That is it for this video. I'm going to leave a link to all these videos, part 1, part 2, and this video, so you can actually watch. If you haven't watched those videos, and they're going to help you to understand this better. Thank you for watching. I believe you're going to subscribe to and share as well. And let's say I'll try to push them to the GitHub. Maybe if you want the source code as well too, it's going to be available as well. I'll put them to this GitHub and I'll add a link. You can just go in there, download the source code, only the source code. Then you can just follow up to, maybe in case you have any error here, and just compare and fix that back. Thank you for watching, guys, and see you in the next video.